the use of more instruments on this record is a big theme, and adds to like the organic vision we all wanted to achieve. I'm so proud of the fact that we used more than electric guitar, bass, drums, vocal. So proud.
You're listening to Our Space with Matt Batiste.
Hey, thanks for throwing on another episode of Our Space with Matt Batiste. This week is probably one of the episodes that I'm most excited for since starting this podcast, because for the last few years, I've been listening to this band on repeat, nonstop. One of my favorite bands right now, especially new to the scene. I'm so happy to see that they've been getting so much love from the scene and from new people discovering them. Of course, I'm talking about Arm's Length. From the beginning of the year, their new album has been my most anticipated album for sure. So getting to hear this album early and having a chat with Alan of Arm's Length has been super special. I cannot wait for you to hear this album and, of course, to hear my chat with Alan. But before we get into that, please remember to subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube. And if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Music, please leave a 5-star review and a quick little review as well. Of course, that goes a long way in growing the show and growing the audience for the bands that we talk to. A lot of the bands that we do talk to are up-and-coming bands that want a bigger platform, and I want to help give that to them. The whole spirit of this show is about growing the emo, the pop punk, and the metalcore scene. So we had a great chat specifically about this new album. We broke down some songs, talked about some favorite tracks, the banjo that's in a lot of these songs that you've probably actually heard of by now. Full transparency, this episode was recorded after Funny Face was released, but before You Ominously End released. So now there's kind of some talk there about the banjo and You Ominously End. We kind of didn't know for sure if you'd heard that song or not, but of course you did. Another thing we touched about, Elder Emos, playing when we were young. You know, all of that good stuff is in this chat. And now I'm going to shut up and get right into the chat. Let's do it. Here's Alan from Arm's Length. Seeing a lot of really early success. Did you foresee this happening when you dropped your first record?
No, definitely not. Yeah, we're definitely a young band, especially for this space, I guess. I'm 24 currently, and Jeff in our band, he's 22. We're all around that age. No, none of us could have ever anticipated that, but I did have really high hopes for Never Before Seen, Never Again Found when it came out. I remember it took us a really long time to get a tour in any capacity when that album came out, and I remember being actually so bummed and like sad and scared for the future of the band, because we didn't get a tour for that record until the very last minute. And the tour was amazing, but it was Young Culture, Super American. They were co-headlining, and then we were opening, which is completely fine, but it was like 2.5 weeks and we didn't hit like an entire part, like one entire half of the United States. Like there were no East Coast shows. I think that like, which is the market we do the best in probably. Yeah, I remember we got that offer at like the last minute, and of course we took it. It ended up being incredible. But when the album came out, there were honestly moments where I thought, and when I was writing the record even, there were moments where I thought that it would be our last record for sure, like a one and done.
Why did you think that would be your last?
Just like, I don't know. There was no like internal beef or anything. It was just like, I think I had like really lofty expectations, not for the band as a whole. Like I never really wanted to even tour this project full time, how we're doing it, which I'm so blessed to be able to, share my music with people. But I had like really insane tunnel vision with making Never Before Seen like as perfect as it could be. And I remember putting like so much of my life into that record. It took up like all of my time. And I think like definitely my biggest dream when I was a kid even was like releasing one album. So I was really dead set on this one record. But I think like none of us were like, our first couple tours, we were just obviously lucky to be touring, but we weren't getting paid a lot, obviously, even though it was like fulfilling our like passion. We were all in like our late teenagers, early 20s, and we kind of had to grapple with like, okay, we're not making money here. Like a lot of it, like we all have like partners or whatever. Like, is this going to be what we do full time? I was obviously extremely content because I knew I was still young, and I knew that if I did know that if I didn't think Never Before Seen, Never Again Found was like bad, I knew it was a good album, and I knew I put my fucking life into it. So I did kind of think that if the right people heard it, it could be considered like a good or like great album, maybe. I'm just very, very lucky that, you know, it has now snowball affected into a lot of people's favorite records like ever, or like amongst them. So that's absolutely insane, and I'm very proud. But I think more it was the touring thing, maybe. At first, I also I liked touring, but I couldn't fucking sing, so I was like really scared of tour at first too. So it was just, there was a lot of like anxieties with touring, and you know, the work that had to go into the band, maybe. But I had tunnel vision on Never Before Seen, Never Again Found, and absolutely put my fucking life into it. And the rest of my band did an incredible job with it too, supporting me, and also, you know, Jeremy and Jeff being around to like, you know, write the record with me, and Jeff at the ripe age of like 19 doing the drums on that record. He killed it, and yeah, I'm just so proud of that record. And that record definitely was the like, you know, what has gotten us to this point at all, and we're all very lucky.
What do you mean when you say that you couldn't sing when touring?
I was fucking awful at singing. I sucked ass. Like, I was horrible. It was like, and I'm laughing about it, but I did not laugh about it back then. So basically, like, I've always been like a good songwriter. I've always been like, I wouldn't even say I'm a good guitarist, but like I have like my own thing with guitar. Like, I'm good at writing songs, right? So I like have tropes that I'm really good at, and I'm good at like open tuning guitar, but I can't even like really tap. I'm just good at like writing songs, and like I'm like a chord guy, I guess. But so my whole life I've been really good at like those things. And then when I started Arm's Length, I didn't even want to sing in the band originally. It kind of fell to me, honestly, because I was writing the songs and they're extremely personal. And there were definitely some lyrics that like I wasn't comfortable with like anyone else singing. It just wouldn't feel right because they're kind of explicitly about like abuse and like shit that, you know, I've endured in my life, or, you know, my parents have endured. It's very my story. So yeah, I had to learn to sing. But so the first few tours we did, it was a nightmare for me and like my mental health, because, you know, even though the crowd like saw something, I guess, there, because people had fun at our shows, and like we're singing the words, I would blow my voice out every night, just like trying to sing. Also, all of our songs are like outside of my range. I'm like a baritone, I guess, technically. But anyways, that's like no excuse. Like, I just sucked ass at singing. So I've been in lessons for the last, honestly, like 5 years at this point, 4 or 5 years with some different teachers. But I have made so much progress, and I'm extremely proud. Still not perfect at all, but my band has been extremely supportive and like patient with me getting better vocally. And they definitely do a good job of like helping me out live, because Jeremy and Ben are extremely naturally talented at singing. Like, they're great. Like, in another universe, they should probably honestly sing in the band.
That's so funny that it like landed on you, and you're like, we've got these other two people in the band that are really talented singers, but like it fell on me.
Yeah, I mean, like, but also it's like emo music, right? And like a lot of the time, like, I mean, I think that was the case with like, there's a huge band obviously, but like Taking Back Sunday, like I don't think Adam Lazar wanted to sing in that band at all, and sometimes it just falls to them. And like, Arm's Length has always been like primarily my vision with every single release. So I definitely makes sense that I'm, you know, if the lyrics are my own, then
Totally.
I guess I could best convey them. Do you know what I mean? So it makes sense.
Yeah,
now.
no one's going to have as much emotion in the songs and in the vocals as you would as the
Yeah.
writer.
I mean, it sounds kind of corny, but that's definitely true, right? Like it just is. And it's funny because I think we just put out a song called Funny Face, and it's one of my favorite songs. Yeah, it's definitely one of my favorite like vocal performances so far. I like tapped into some cool distortion at some points, I guess. I saw some comments saying like his voice, damn, I don't like this. His voice sounds different. And it's like so funny because it's like this whole release is like the first time I felt like a capable to good singer. So it's like, oh, man. And also like, it's not like it was just in my own head. Like I'd blow up my voice and then sometimes I'd go on Reddit and see like, yeah, I'm like this cool, but the singer absolutely needs work and he has a shit voice. So it's like, I've like really, really, really put, hours and hours and hours into, trying to sing better. And then I do, and some people just don't fucking like it. So it's really funny. But yeah, I'm very lucky and, happy and proud to be in a better spot now with singing. But yeah, it's been a journey. And
were you feeling this way before you recorded Never Before Seen, or were you sort of like, oh, okay, I'm touring, I don't know how to sing, but whatever, and then it's like, okay, time to record, but by that point you maybe started getting some vocal coaches and feeling a little bit more confident, or did you just kind of like hop into the studio like, I can't sing, but screw it, let's record it and see how it goes?
It was more that, but I was getting shout out my friend Adam, he's helped me tremendously vocally. He was my vocal teacher at that time, and he taught me like a lot of like things I know about the voice now, I guess, more than anything. So I had Adam helped me like warm up and stuff properly. So I wasn't like really like blowing my shit out. I was on Never Before Seen, but I knew that I didn't have the tone of voice that was sustainable live. I was also singing very much from like kind of like it sounded kind of Kermity, which is cool sort of, but I'm not sure. It was honestly just I tried to like to do all the good singer stuff on that album, but it ended up just being what it is. So I remember a lot of songs were like a struggle to sing. Tough Love was really hard. I remember Aries was hard. Like Object Permanence was kind of hard. And like I didn't know how to really do anything, but I tried really hard, and that's the final result. On Everything Nice, I was our second EP, I was I absolutely did not have a voice for like 5 days in the studio. But yeah, it's been a journey, man.
It's funny actually, when I started this podcast, one of my first few guests was Amy Madden, who ran Fiddler Records back in the 2000s, discovered, Dashboard Confessional, all that. And so one of the things that I do at the end of each podcast episode is I ask my guests, who are some underrated bands right now or some up and coming bands that you think more people need to check out. And she actually shouted out you guys. And this would have been like late 2023, early 2024. And she was like, there's this band Arm's Length that's, just found, and they're awesome. And she mentioned the reason why she really liked you was actually because there was a sense, her quote was, there's a sense of urgency in his voice, and I really love it. So it was like the voice part of and the tonality of your songs that drew her. And so I kind of find it funny that this is the conversation we're having. That's a conversation I had with her. And I think honestly that fans definitely do hear, like, you obviously have a really good voice. It's unique. It fits emo perfectly, kind of talking about all of these bands that have significantly unique voices. I feel like in emo, you don't need to necessarily be the best singer, but like if you have something that's unique and like you can convey those emotions with your voice, I feel like that has the best message. Do you find that now with all the training that you've done over the years that's made a big difference? Because you mentioned Funny Face, like in the actual recording of this new album that you have coming out May 16th.
I think Funny Face still, like, I think on the new record and on Funny Face, like, I think my voice still sounds unique, which is, that's my biggest priority. Like, I don't want to sound like generic. Like, I've always known that I've had like a unique voice. Like,
and for the people listening and watching on YouTube, yeah, I've listened to the album. His voice does sound the same. It's not like all of a sudden it's going to be something totally different, but definitely like, yeah, like using those new techniques that you've learned for that longevity? Have you found that that's made a big impact on recording the album and like the sound of and the tonality of your new music?
Yes. I think that I had a lot of fun recording There's a Whole World Out There for the first, like, obviously the songs are still miserable. Like, it's not like the songs are about happiness and fucking the beach, but I had a lot of fun and I felt confident 90% of the time. And I tried a lot of new things. Like I'm screaming and it sounds good as hell on like for what I like emo screaming kind of, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It sounds good for the first time and I've never really been able to do that. And I'm very excited that, you know, I've done that. But yeah, I think tonality wise, like, yeah, you can tell it's me still on the new album, of course. But I mean, there are also like more like Western influences on the new record. Like there's like folk stuff. There's like banjo.
I noticed that. I want to talk about that.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm very much down. There's like banjo on like 5 songs. Obviously, there's no like full out country songs on the record, but you know, so sometimes I like lean into like maybe like some twang or whatever for the first time, but I mean that's the fucking sauce, man. Like that's shit that I've always loved in vocalists. And also I felt like never before seen, like, you know, there were some comments, people saying like the songs are a little like samey. It's a good record, but you know the songs are all samey. So it's like, okay, well, if I look like more into that, my formula of songwriting is like verses are usually quiet, choruses are usually like passionate and loud. If I'm singing like this for the verse, but then I yell that same melody for the chorus or whatever. If I don't know, I found my never before seen voice was like kind of one dimensional because I would use the exact same voice for low, exact same voice for high. So if I'm like breaking it up more on this record, I think that's only going to be a good thing. And, you know, I do, you know, care what people think about our music, like a little bit, of course. I think everyone does. And I agreed that, you know, the songs did sound kind of samey. So I'm excited to, you know, show that I'm a better vocalist now. I think it was a lot more effortless to sing a lot of these songs, but still I'm singing hard. Like I'm singing like with my whole life. It's just like, it doesn't hurt my fucking throat anymore. So even if people like don't really rock with it, at least I know that, you know, it sounds good to me for sure. And also it didn't hurt. So
your voice still sounds the same. And the bonus is you get to take better care of your voice so you can actually hit more tour dates and not run out of your voice and lose your voice halfway through the tour. So I think fans should be happy about that.
It's for the longevity of the band. And I also think I sound a lot better. And there's like cool screaming parts that I was never able to do before properly. Like the screaming part in like Aries. Sorry, I'm yapping so much, but the screaming part in Aries, like I just said that and it hurts so fucking bad. But like, I mean, I think the new record has some really good moments that, again, did not hurt. So
you mentioned a little bit about like caring what people think and reading the comments. Where do you sort of draw that line in the sand of what you read, what you ignore?
I think I ignore more than now that the band is like, I don't know, has fans, right? Like real fans. I think I ignore more than I like actually take to heart these days. I definitely need to just not look anymore, especially upon the release of the new record. I think I just have to keep reminding myself, if we're all proud of the record, we're fucking, you know, that's all that matters. But in the past, I don't know. I think, you know, if people make comments about like our appearance, like not like good or bad, I guess I kind of have to ignore that because that's just like fan behavior. But I see that shit on Twitter sometimes. I guess really just like outwardly like stupid takes I ignore. I also laugh at them like, but bless this guy's soul because he definitely is a fan of our band. But like the other day, I think I tweeted just a screenshot of Reddit I found, like from Reddit that I found talking about our band, saying that Funny Face is like a generic post-hardcore song. And that Pure Noise like just made us and Ben Quad release like generic post-hardcore songs. And it's like, first of all, Pure Noise was not involved in fucking anything to do with our sound or which singles we put out. Like that was all us. Like they had input, of course, but we were like, yeah, nah, like we're gonna put out the singles we want to put out. Also, we've always had like a post-hardcore element dating back to our first release. So
Absolutely.
like totally. So it's like don't really get that generic. Yeah, maybe generic. That's fine, but I don't know. Arm's length is we're not trying to. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel. Like when I write a song, it definitely sounds like 10 other songs, but I think just like how we, go about that process is maybe what makes us stick out. But anyways, I'm yapping, but I definitely ignore more than I take to heart these days.
On the focus of the record, how long did it take for you to write this record? Because I swear you've been on the road nonstop for the last like 3-4 years.
Been grinding. Yeah. Honestly, I wrote 90% of it last summer. So between like May and September, I guess, when we started, 90% of that. But I had like a lot of ideas beforehand. So like a lot of riffs I had beforehand, one-liners. I always keep my notes going with one-liners. I had a lot of those beforehand, but yeah, like 90% of the record I wrote last summer. I spoke, we all do music full time right now, but I left my job last April on the Wax Bodega tour. I remember haven't worked a day since, but
I love that for you guys.
I
love that for you.
It's been so cool. We're all very lucky, but yeah, I left that job in April, and then yes, so from May to September, I just wrote the record, and then starting in like June, July, probably July, I started writing the drum parts with Jeff. So 95% of the record was me and Jeff in the room. Or it was me writing the songs first, because I'm like fucking insane. I'm not going to show even back to 2019, like What's Mine Is Yours days. I would never show my band a song if I didn't think it was like really, really like had potential. You know what I mean? So
Okay.
I'd like, there were days where I just like, this sounds so douchey, but I would just like drive to the beach. I have like a secret beach. My friends and I call it secret beach near my house, but fucking unemployed behavior. But I would just drive there with my acoustic guitar, I write all my songs with the acoustic guitar, and I'd find a little spot, obviously not near anyone, and bring a couple gin seltzers and fucking write songs from like maybe noon to like 8. I just did that like a few times a week, and it was fucking awesome. Honestly, it was awesome. It was so sick. I love being alone, and I love the beach. So it was fucking sweet. And so I wrote there in like my room. So I would do that. And then, yeah, once I, found that I had maybe 10 to start really good ideas, I sent them all to the band. And then Jeff lives in Toronto now. So Jeff would go train to Oshawa GO Station. I'd pick him up. We'd drive to his parents' house in Trenton, and we just jam all day and write the songs that way. So I had like drum ideas in my head, a lot of them for this record, honestly. But then Jeff takes over, and he has amazing fills and like groove ideas that we come up with together. And it was so much fucking fun. But yeah, Jeff and I wrote probably 95% of the new record. Everyone was invited. Ben, of course, lives in New Jersey. Jeremy was working all summer. So we had to do it. And it was amazing.
What's more inspiring than doing that on the beach and then getting together over the summer and writing a record, right?
Sick. It was so cool. It was just like very much how we used to do it too. Like we've written full band, like we've written all of our songs in our discography in Jeremy and Jeff, their brothers, in their parents' basement. It's been so cool, and Jeff would attest that it was so fucking fun.
So now that the record is officially done, we're just waiting for it to come out now. What would you say? Because there definitely is some anticipation, a lot of anticipation, not some. There's a lot of anticipation for this album. What would you say the biggest difference is between There's a Whole World Out There versus Never Before Seen?
Okay, so I think maybe like looming throughout the record, there's like more of a like a sense of like acceptance. When I wrote Never Before Seen, Never Again Found, I was like the most mentally ill I'd ever been in my life. So there was that. It was written with like so much anxiety, and uncertainty with like the band. Like if that would be our last record, like to be completely honest, like I told you, there's just so much uncertainty and anxiety. In this one, there's more like room to breathe, maybe. And I think that honestly translates sonically too. I feel like, yeah, it's compressed, like it's a pop mix, but we sound more like a full band than we ever have, probably dating back to our debut EP. I think, yeah, maybe like a sense of acceptance more than ever. I'm not like, it's like angsty, but it's not as like, I don't know. I feel like maybe it's not as direct. I think lyrically, it's more, there are definitely like the same one-liners and shit that the last record had, but it's more stream of consciousness more, as opposed to like one-liners I had written in my notes dating back to when I was like 14. So I think those are key differences. I think they're like similar themes for sure, but I guess the album title, There's a Whole World Out There, there's a lot more. It's talking about like not like the world, like what's going on in the world really per se, but like the grand scheme of things, which again goes back to like acceptance of stuff and like acceptance of like traumas and like past hiccups. I don't really know the words, the word I'm trying to go for, but yeah, I think that's maybe the biggest difference. It still definitely sounds like our band. Totally. It sounds sounds like Never Before Seen in a lot of ways. I think our heaviest songs yet are on this record. And then, yeah, like there's like country shit, folk shit that we've also always had those traits, in Tough Love. And then even Garamond had like some folk elements in it. It's still an arm's length record. The biggest difference is probably, yeah. Damn, I don't really know. It just feels like we're more like a real band. You can hear every instrument. It's great. I love it. I'm a big fan.
There is also a lot of the same themes in both albums. And so I wanted to ask, because as I was listening to the album, as I was reading through the lyrics and, listening last night, I threw on the record again and I listened while also looking at the actual written lyrics just to make sure I wasn't missing anything, pick up on something new after the 100th time of listening to it, let's say. And it really did feel like there were a lot of themes and a lot of common themes from this record and the last record. Were there any songs that were written as direct sequels intentionally?
I think intentionally. I think Fatal Flaw is extremely reminiscent of Never Before Seen, as well as Palinopsia. I'm trying to think intentionally. I think You Ominously End picks up right where like Formative Age left off, which is a lot of people's favorite songs off the last record. It kind of feels like Morning Person is like a sequel to Dirge in some ways, but I can't really say it's intentional. I'm trying to go through the track list in my brain here. So maybe not intentionally, no, but I think in a lot of ways it picks up where the last record left off. I think lyrically Funny Face is a good sequel to like Aries, and I did have the last record in mind when I wrote the record, but I wasn't trying to like make like Object Permanence too, you know what I mean? But no, I do have like not like an intricate story in my head, but I do know the story of the band dating back to our first EP, and I think that there are like Easter eggs everywhere for people to find that call back to the last record.
Why did you choose Funny Face as a single?
Honestly, there were like 5 songs. I remember even like writing them with Jeff, like that we had a really good feeling about. Funny Face was definitely one of them. It was one of the heaviest ones, like the double breakdown at the end or whatever. Like that was awesome. I love the verse melody. It's extremely short, which we've never really released like a 2 minutes 30 seconds single, just like a ass beater to start. And it was also the first song we like demoed out. We had our friend and Ryan Fitz is his name. We went to Crystal Beach, Ontario, and did the demos for this record in August, and that was the song we started with. And I had some friends there. My friend Pat and Nathaniel were there in the room, and we like were like tracking it for the first time and hearing it like recorded for the first ever time with like a full band, they're like, everyone was like, is this the fucking best song I've ever heard in my life? It was just really cool. And we've always wanted to like release a song with like a real kind of breakdown. Obviously it still sounds like an emo kind of breakdown. Like it's not like, but, anyways, we just kind of went with our gut. With Object Permanence, I know so many fans of our band that's not their favorite track off that record. And when we put it out, I did have like a really good feeling that was our best song. But when we put it out, it was like, it did become our top song on Spotify, but it didn't get any like editorial playlists. It didn't get shit like at all. We just had to play it live, and then I don't know, like people spread the word about Object Permanence, and now it's our biggest song by a mile. So shout out our fans for spreading the word of Object Permanence. But yeah, I think we went with our gut with Object Permanence. So for this one, in a lot of ways, the new song reminds me of Object Permanence a lot. So with this new one, we were just like, why don't we just trust our gut again and let it, come out of the gates with a fast song.
I do want to talk about the banjo because you've alluded to it. There's no banjo in Funny Face. I feel like this is like the biggest anticipation for the album. Everyone's going, what's Alan talking about? There's a banjo in there. How does that like? Okay, so tell me. So like, let's talk about that. What made you decide to go the banjo route?
Honestly, we rented it sort of as a joke. We rented it from like the Longwell Quaid, just like kind of as a joke. But I did kind of have in my head, like I did have a feeling that it would be so cool to put it at the beginning of You Ominously End, and then we obviously did that. But when I think the working title of You Ominously End was Banjo Song, and it's just it's very Mumford and Sons-esque. Like even that strum pattern, it's like gung gung gada gung gang gung gang gung gang. It's like very like folk punky kind of. And when I think of folk, I kind of think of banjo, sort of. They're synonymous in my brain. And just like, yeah, that riff, obviously I write all my songs on acoustic guitar, I said. When I wrote it, I kind of thought that, wow, this would actually translate really well if we didn't go heavy in the song and just kind of kept it straight back. So I told Anton that idea, our producer, who his work on our record is absolutely phenomenal. And I love Anton so much. Shout out Anton. But when I told Anton that idea, he's like, let's just fucking do it. So on that little, like before the song, there's before the song kicks in, the song You Honestly End, there's banjo and also 12-string acoustic guitar we used on almost every song of the record. 12 string specifically because of like the extra harmonics, I guess, that it picks up, like the octave notes. So yeah, the beginning of that song is just 12-string acoustic guitar and banjo jamming, which is so fucking cool. I've always really longed for our band to sound like real and organic. What's Mine Is Yours, our first EP, we came out of the gate sounding extremely real and having a lot of charm. And then we switched producers to Anton because we were like, let's just try to fucking become a big band, maybe. You know what I mean? Let's just see what happens, right? And I think Anton's done a great job of keeping us like pop sensible, but still having like a little bit of charm. But for the new record, I really, 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 really wanted to lean into like the organic sound a little bit more. Obviously still sounding modern or whatever, but and I think little moments like that found throughout the record are very crucial into like to achieving that vision. But banjo on the other songs, well, we worked so well on that song, we were just like, fuck it. Like, what if this is just like big brain? So it's also on The Wound, which again, the working title for that song was Alan Kahn, like Noah Kahn, because it's exactly like Homesick, and there's so much banjo on Stick Season. So we were just like, well, it's gotta be here, and it's there. But my favorite use of the banjo is when it's in like the heavier songs. So banjo's on.
I was gonna say, like, noticing it in the breakdowns.
Yeah,
was like, okay,
yeah,
they're fucking with this banjo right now.
Yes. I hope it's not like distracting to people, but I mean, there's not like, also like if this comes out before the record, like there are no like banjo breakdowns. It's just used melodically. It's not really used for like shock effect ever.
No, it's very faint. It just kind of like
Yeah.
meshes in with everything, right?
Yes. Yeah. But on the song Haley, there's banjo in that. It kind of sounds like Yellow Card. There's also banjo in Morning Person. I played on Morning Person, and that's my favorite song on the record by far is Morning Person. I've never been more proud of any song. But yeah, banjo. Bands need to use fucking banjo more and more instruments. Like, we've been using strings since Never Before Seen, Never Again Found. Our good friend Bonnie Brooksbank, shout out, she did a fucking incredible job on this record too. The last two records she's done violin, and it is such a sonic shift. It is so amazing. It's my favorite instrument to hear in a mix, especially like a rock mix, like an epic post rock mix kind of vibe. Yeah, just the use of more instruments on this record is a big theme, and adds to like the organic vision we all wanted to achieve. I'm so proud of the fact that we used more than electric guitar, bass, drums, vocal. So proud. It's awesome.
It always adds so many extra layers, and then it gives more for fans to notice as well, especially like that banjo. Like, I mean, that's spoiled because it's been talked about. I think if you're a fan of the band, you've probably seen that. Like, a banjo is not going to surprise you, but I still think that the way that you use the banjo will surprise a lot of fans, because I think people have a preconceived notion already of what a banjo is going to sound like and what a song with a banjo is going to sound like. And I think that you do it in a really cool way where it is different. With that being said, what's the biggest thing that you actually hope that fans notice on this record?
The fact that we're really trying to sound more like a real band. Like, I want people to notice every instrument more than ever. I think on Never Before Seen, like, Anton did an amazing job, but I think for us, especially as a band, we kind of were longing for more instruments to come through. For me, I was very, very adamant that I wanted guitar tone to be like maybe the biggest priority of the record, because I played all the guitar on the record, and I play in like open tunings, and I do a lot of like cool chord shapes that when I'm writing them add so much to the songs. And I feel like on the last record they were lost a little bit. Just to, that's pop mixing 101, right? You got to brick out the sound. It sucks, but it's obviously worked. But I really wanted to hear my jangly ass chords more on this record. And I think people seeing that we put a lot of effort into the tone, it's exactly what I wanted people to take from the last record as well. This record felt like another lease on life, maybe if that makes sense. So I want people to, I'm honestly just trying to achieve the same shit, but on crack that I did never before seen. So, it's most of the same themes. The songs are like written in similar ways. Obviously we explore more like folk stuff, I guess, at some points, and also more heavy stuff at other points, but, it's still the band. There's not that much that has changed. The album still kind of tells the story. Like, I'd love for people to notice that the very last thing you hear on the record, which is like that finger picked acoustic part of Morning Person, that's the same guitar lick as like the very intro of the album. In the world, it's like the exact same thing, and I ripped that from the hotelier who did that on Home Like No Places There. So yeah, there are like little Easter eggs, I guess, throughout the record. I think I want people to notice that everyone got better at their instruments. Like, I got better at singing. My guitar playing is really cool on the record. Jeremy actually laid down bass for this whole record. Besides like one song, Anton did one song. And Jeremy did an incredible job. Jeremy is a phenomenal bass player. Obviously, he doesn't play bass in the band live, but Jeremy can do fucking anything. He's great, knocked it out of the park. But Jeff got so much better at drums, and the way he is interpreting the parts I write in terms of like putting his own grooves into stuff, like that groove in the second verse of A Funny Face is one of the best things he's ever written. Like, shit like that. I think Jeff is like, you can always tell when a vocalist becomes like more mature. You can tell when they start to like own their craft more. If you listen to any like pop punk band or like emo band that has done more than 3 records, you can like kind of tell when there's a shift, like, oh, this guy's mature. But I would argue that on this new record, you could tell that with Jeff, who's playing drums. So that's been super special to watch. yeah, Jeff absolutely fucking crushed it. And the parts, we wrote together, and the parts that he wrote, the fills he wrote, insane. So yeah, I hope people think it's better. Is what I want people to take away from it.
I also noticed another thing about this record that, kind of going back to the difference between this and your last. This one felt like there was still the same amount of theme, like the same themes. You still got themes of death and grieving and all that, but it also felt like there were more glimmers of hope in this album. Was that intentional?
I think I agree. Do you have like a lyric that comes to mind? Maybe, not to put you on the spot.
Yeah, I think it would have been like the line, "You are lost in translation. You are misunderstood. When you cut to my core, you figured it'd be warm."
I now that you say that, I can actually think of like several examples. So
there's definitely a few in here. Like when you've been ice and steam and water, and I've loved every form. And when the light pollution eats the stars you like best, then I will map new constellations with your freckles and specks. That was, I think, the line that really, like that part there. I was like, oof, okay.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't necessarily call those like hopeful. Those are like not to like gatekeep themes, but like
I mean, they're like, your words, they're your lyrics, right?
Yeah, they're like yearning. That's me kind of like yearning more than ever. That song is, I'm so fucking proud of that song. I love every single line, almost every single line on that song. I think that's the most important Arms Length song yet. If I could have anyone listen to like one piece of music that I'm involved in for the rest of my life, it would be that one. I would choose that one. I'm so fucking beyond proud of that song. But going back to like glimmers of hope, yeah, I mean, I think that this goes back to like the anxiety and uncertainty, and like I wanted to die when I was writing Never Before Seen, Never Again Found, basically. Like I think that goes back to like me wanting to die on writing the last record, and like urgently just like not wanting to like, I don't know. And it was just, I was extremely anxious. But, for this one, I think a theme of like learning how to like live and stick around is a big theme. The wound, the entire song is about that. So that's a big glimmer of hope, right? I spent a lifetime longing to leave. How the fuck can I stay? That song has a lot of like dark humor in it, I guess. Like, not like dark humor, I'm the Joker, but like, you know what I mean? Like, tough love, dark humor, kind of like on our last record. So yeah, that song, the whole point of that song is like, I'm like sticking around or trying to, you know what I mean? Where there were no songs that indicated I wanted to fucking live on the last record. The Weight, also, there's a line that's like, I've seen the shape of my shadow shrink and expand over time. Alliteration, holy moly, that's hard to say 10 times fast. But then the next line is, but it proves that there's still light. So I mean, that's literally a glimmer of hope. Yeah, that song talks about like ED, the weight, that is, the ED, but also the world. And it's like, that song was really cool when I was writing it, because it was about some extremely dark themes, but it also mixed in like what it meant to be like, what it meant to want to like disappear, because I touched on like wanting to be like as small as possible in the like eating disorder way, but also like in the world, not wanting to be seen, and like being small, actually physically small in the grand scheme. Yeah, I think that song has like a bunch of themes going, which is really cool. But yeah, I think, there are little glimmers of hope throughout the album, and acceptance, which is very important in my life as my frontal lobe develops here. I'm turning 25 soon. So acceptance is like a big part of moving on and living. So yeah, you're right. Sorry to put you on the spot too. I fucking
no, it's all good. I'm gonna cut that gap anyways. But I'm glad that I was able to like quickly find it, because I just remembered it was towards the end. I was like, what a way to close out. I think Morning Person stuck out for me as one of my favorite songs on the album the first couple of listens, because it's such a great extra to the album as well. Like, it's such a great way to wrap things up. There was that one. And I think honestly, like, I'm kind of bad with the names right now because it's so early on this album, but which one is the heavy one with the banjo? Is that the
one? It's the end.
You ominously
Yeah.
I can't say that, but
It's
that's
a
another
tongue
favorite
twister.
on the album as well. So that's definitely another favorite. I'd say if I had to pick two right now, those would be the two that have really stuck with me.
That's amazing.
So yeah, there's that. But at the end of the day, like I said, like I can hear those glimmers of hope within the darkness of the record, but it is still like a very emotionally heavy album. So I'm kind of curious, what is the most lighthearted or fun thing to have happened when writing these songs?
One time, I keep talking about what people have said about us, but it's so fucking funny. But I think some people think that we're not like a fun band. Like, Hot Mulligan is obviously seen as like an extremely fun band. Like all of their like imagery and videos are like them goofing off, like not goofing off, but
their
like
song titles, their
yes,
music videos.
Yes.
And meanwhile, it's like emotionally wrenching music, but they're just like, drink milk and run.
Yes. Yes. But obviously their lyrics are pretty serious. But I've, people have said, people compare us to Hot Mulligan all the time because they're the hot band, right? They're one of our favorite bands. They're amazing. They're huge. But people say like, I've seen people say like Arms Length is missing like the fun factor that Hot Mulligan has. And I think it's just because we haven't really had other than playing live, we haven't really had like a lot of people willing to do like content for us. But moral of the story is like, we're the most fucking stupid people like ever. All of us are so like,
let's get together. We'll make some stupid, silly content.
We should.
We'll show the world how silly Arms Length can be.
We're fucking, like, we're just ridiculous. Like, I think the juxtaposition of like, us goofing off in the studio all day, to like how serious the themes are on our last two records is extremely funny. I think that's like the funnest part of our band. I think just like the ridiculousness every day. Like there would be times where Anton's also fucking so silly. Like sometimes he would just like lay on the floor while we were recording, just for fun. We make like dumb faces at each other. Like we just joke about the stupidest shit all day, every day. So I think honestly, just the funniest part is like I'm about to like record a like lyric that like has moved me and is about a traumatic thing in my life, but I'm doing it in like a goofy ass voice. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know. It's the funniest thing about the album and our band as a whole is like, we're very unserious people doing like passionate, serious, emo that touches on like extremely serious, subjects. So I don't really have like a specific story. I have something that really fucking sucked. Talking about no one doing content for us. We are going to have our good friend Alex Scalzo, who he's doing all of our music videos for us on this record. But he was going to come do a mini documentary or something for our record, and just like have a camera on us the whole time, which would have been fucking incredible.
That would have been so cool.
It would have been so sick. But he flew out from Cleveland to Toronto, and I drove to go pick him up. I was at the Toronto airport and I got a call from the government of Canada. So I was like, oh boy. So I picked it up.
This is a scam?
Yeah, that's what I thought. I picked it up, and then they were asking me questions if I actually knew Alex. I was like, yes, I know Alex.
Oh, got detained.
Yes.
Oh no.
Yeah. So they didn't let him in. That was, I had to drive back to London, Ontario, where we did the record, which is like 2.5-3 hours from Toronto. But they didn't let him in because I guess they figured he was doing like work, but like he needed a work visa for the work, which is, I don't know. It's the rules are really vague, but I guess they questioned that he was traveling with like a camera.
Mm-hmm.
Very tough. That sucked. A lot of the members of the band drank so much all the time. So the little Airbnb we were staying at recording that album, it was just party constantly. Like, it's pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, we're like fun people, but we don't really do crazy shit. Like we don't really like party or like do drugs like that or anything. I wish I had a fun story, but we're just silly guys all the time.
Let's talk a little bit about when we were young. So that was one of those names. Your name was one of those names I saw on the bill and immediately was like, oh, this is cool. Like Arm's Length playing when we were young. The lineup for this year is a mix of everything, which I think is really cool. There's a few newer acts on there, a few heavier acts, so it's more of like a mix. How did that come to be? Talk to me a little bit about that, and how do you guys obviously feel about playing a festival like that that's rooted in nostalgia, but as a newer band?
Yeah, you put it really great there. Like playing you put it perfectly. We're still young, like you know what I mean, which is really funny. I mean, it didn't really come to be in any way. I think we've had some people ask us like, how did you get it, bro? It's like, we just got the email. Like, I don't know. It was incredible. Like when that offer rolled in, I think we were all extremely excited, obviously, to give a boring answer. But yeah, I think honestly, we're going to treat it like, we haven't played a ton of festivals, but we're going to treat it like any other festival. But that one's just extra special because it's every band basically we grew up really loving. You know what I mean? A lot of people, I don't know. It's honestly insane. We're just very grateful and lucky to be doing that. Not sure why they chose us, but super excited that they did. And I think it'll be fucking awesome. I'm stoked that we just finished up that Silverstein tour. I'm very stoked on the premise of Elder Emos loving Arm's Length, because we do kind of have a throwback sound, I think, that would be really good on a nostalgia fest like that. You know, so many people have said we remind them of insert emo band here. You know what I mean? Which is actually very interesting because I guess the post-hardcore elements I could see being an early 2000s thing. But when I'm writing, I'm mostly ripping off the 2010s wave of emo. But yeah, people say we remind them the early November sometimes. Fucking, what is their name? Not sometimes people say Mayday Parade, but Dangerous Summer people say a lot. Which isn't early 2000s, it's kind of mid 2000s, that era. But I don't know. I guess our sound would just make sense on a nostalgia fest because people are also really surprised when they find out we're a young band, which is so funny because we are. I think it's just because the lyrics are telling a story. I think that's half the battle.
I think your stories are also very mature stories and mature themes, and they're serious topics, right? I think most people will expect silly lyrics out of a young band, where it's
the next record.
Yeah. The next record is just all, dick and fart jokes.
Yeah. Dick fart. just circus theme. So it's about the circus.
The inside scoop on Arm's Length third record.
We're going to hear, guys. Circus theme.
It's going to be a polka. It's going to be a circus themed polka record with nothing but screaming.
I got chills. I'm going to the studio tomorrow. I'm going to your studio tomorrow.
Yeah, come on over. I'll produce it. I don't know how to produce it, but I'll figure out a way. I'll do it. YouTube University.
That's going to make the album organic. No one knows what the fuck they're doing.
It's even more emo that way.
Exactly.
Talk to me a little bit about the Elder Emo thing, because you mentioned that Elder Emos really love Arm's Length. We talked about a little bit about why you think they love them, but what type of reaction have you gotten from the Elder Emo side of things, and how do you feel about the whole Elder Emo everything? I
mean, we just wrapped up that Silverstein tour, and it was biggest rooms we've ever played consistently. And I think they kind of ate us up. Honestly, it was very cool. It's just very honestly they're probably the demographic in this world that makes the most money. To be honest, so not to be a businessman, but they can afford to fucking go to the merch table and buy 2 shirts. You know what I mean? It's kind of awesome. But I mean, I'll probably be a fucking Elder Emo, you know what I mean? So I think that they get a lot of hate, but everyone don't hate Elder Emos. This is to the emo band world. If you're in an emo band and you think Elder Emos are cringe, shut up, because they're gonna buy your shirts.
Yes, it's better to have them on your side.
Yes, it's good to have them on your side. So no, I don't think Elder Emos are cringe.
I'll say as an Elder Emo content creator, all of that, like I definitely lean into that because that also gets the like. I mean, look, I'm 33 years old. Like I fall perfectly into that demographic. I grew up in the 2000s with the freaking hair swoop and all of it. Like I was like the definition of an Elder Emo. Or I'm the definition of that. Do I think it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was an emo kid in the 2000s, right? Like I was in high school from 05 to 09. Like I saw My Chemical Romance on the 3 Cheers tour. Like I was like right there for that whole era, right? And that's majority of my audience. Let's be real. I do think that I'll admit, is it cringe? Yeah. I'll be the first person to admit it, but do you embrace the cringe? Yeah. You know why? Because I'm 33 years old and who gives a shit if it's cringe?
Yeah, man. Like you're having fun. I think Disney adults they're still they're as harmless as like an Elder Emo, but they're definitely more fucking cringe. Like at least Elder Emos are just passionate about emo music. Like I'm passionate about emo music. We're friends. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I think the one flaw behind it all, though, is that I think Elder Emos get a bad rep for only listening to the nostalgia and not checking out the new stuff. And I think that that's a valid criticism that newer bands have of Elder Emo and of nostalgia. And there's times where, honestly, even I get a little bit sick of the nostalgia and I need a break from it. And then, whatever. I'm always going to listen to the bands that I listened to in high school. I think naturally every single person does.
Yeah.
But when it comes to that, I do think that more people do need to check out newer emo bands like Arm's Length or Spanish Love Songs or whoever, right? Like that's just the reality of it. I think that there's enough bands like Hot Mulligan as well that like are just killing it so much that I actually feel like the music now is probably technically better than it was back in the 2000s. So as long as Elder Emos get out of their head and actually start listening to some new music, I think that's like a valid criticism of that side of things. But also at the same time, like if you're gonna lean into the cringe, like who gives a shit? Like I'm in my 30s. I don't give a shit about what some 22-year-old emo kid thinks of me. That doesn't keep me up at night.
No, I don't think you're cringe. The general theme is I fuck with Elder Emos. I love them. Talking about Hot Mulligan, that band like Elder Emos love Hot Mulligan, so they've somehow transcended the new. Like I'm 24. I know so many people my age that their favorite band is Hot Mulligan. You know what I mean? They've completely transcended that as well, and everyone loves them. I think they're a phenomenal band. So, they've done a really great job, and I'd say that the whole thing about like them not, Elder Emo community not checking out new bands, I think they will. I think they just have to be more in front of them. You know what I mean? So that was the reason why taking the Silverstein tour for us was such a big priority. One, because they're like Canadian and a huge influence on our band, especially their first couple albums. That and just like, we're going to be in front of so many people that, I don't know, maybe they're stuck in their ways a bit, or maybe they want to find out what the new hip thing is. You know what I mean? Not saying we're the new hip thing, but like, you know what I mean? The idea of like a new hip band is like, it's cool they want something to root for. So, you know what I mean? It's kind of emo music or music in general, like the touring world's kind of like following a sports team sort of in a way. Like
I also think like when it comes to that age, like being on a tour like Silverstein and Thursday is like the perfect tour for a band like Arm's Length. You fit perfectly into that music, and then you're going to be in front of people that, like you said, will spend money, will go and check you out, and all of that. And like if you really blow them away, which it sounds like you did with a lot of people. And then I think that the like whole Elder Emo not checking out new music, criticism is also still a fairly valid one for the people that
may not be checking out music, because think about where these people are in their life and like where I would be in my life. Like me personally, I actively just like, I love music and emo music. I've made it my entire personality since I was like 15 years old. So it's like I'm actively always seeking out new bands, but I also understand that like not everyone's like that. People my age, full-time jobs, kids, life is crazy and hectic. The last thing that they're doing is going home and being like, who's the hot new band right now, right? You click play on that same playlist, you drive 20 minutes to work, you spend 9 hours there, you go home, pick up the kids from school. Like it's like a whole routine that I think a lot of people, when you get to that point, it's just like, I don't have time to actively seek out new bands. And I think that that's fair. Life is crazy, life is busy. If that's not your life, right? For me, I've made it my life. So it's like, I know that I'm like the exception to the rule on that. But I have seen more with like my following. And I think this is where I'm feeling for the millennials that haven't checked out the new bands. They've come to me and said like, hey, look, like I've missed a massive gap because of life, right? Like who are some new bands that I need to check out because I wasn't actively looking for things the way that I was when I was in high school and as a teenager. And I'll give them a list of bands that maybe they even missed out. Like some of these people have missed out on the whole 2010s emo. And I'm like, go and listen to Modern Baseball. And they're like, how have I never heard of Modern Baseball before? You know what I mean? So it's like there's gaps.
Yeah, Dan, that's insane. Yeah, that's fucked to think about. I'm gonna say that like I just think it's insane that there's like maybe Elder Emos in like 5 years, 10 years, the Elder Emo in question is going to be like the 2010s wave of emos, like Citizen and Title Fight is even right now. I think 30-year-olds really like Title Fight at their peak. Like, so that's crazy. Not saying 30 is old. I'm not extremely far off from 30, but you know what I mean? It's so weird to think about. Like one day we'll be one of the old, the old guard. So
yeah. Like
really cool thing.
One day Hotelier, like the next wave is like Hotelier and Turnover becoming those like legacy bands, and they're going to be like the My Chemical Romances and the Used of the era. And like it just, hey, we all get old. That's the natural progression of life, right? So it's like, that's one of those things I remember like our parents telling us like, hey, don't worry, it's going to catch up to you and you're going to get there and you're going to get it eventually. And it's like, nah. And then you get into your 30s and you're like, oh, I'm here. It's not so bad.
Yeah. I'm poised to take that on, I guess. I 20 in my head, like 24 is young. 25, I'm like, holy fuck. This guy
25 is a baby to me.
That's crazy. I'm glad to hear that though.
I think it's going to be really cool though to have Arm's Length playing it when we were young and having those Elder Emos walk by your set, stop, check you out and be like, who is this? Because I think that's like that was the spirit of like Warped Tour back in the day, right? You walked past the stage, didn't know who it was, checked out a band, picked up their CD, and that's how you found new bands. So touring with Silverstein, being on the When We Were Young bill, like I definitely expect it to be a big year. Plus with this new album coming out in May, like I'm hoping it's a big year for Arm's Length. I definitely predict it to be. Is there anything else that fans should look out for between now and the actual release of the album?
We announced a tour we're headlining, and then it's Prince Daddy and the Hyena, which is insane that like they're on that tour. We've been a huge fan of them for a long ass time. Us, Prince Daddy and the Hyena, the band Riley and Bike Roots. We announced an amazing tour with them, but it's in like a lot of B markets, like cities we haven't played before, and kind of in B market cities. And so there are a lot of people saying like, why the fuck aren't you playing like Toronto or like Chicago or like New York City? So look out for us actually playing those cities. Spoiler alert. We're also touring. We have a huge tour in the fall. It's probably for my money, it's tour of the year, baby. So fucking excited for it. I think it's going to be awesome. So we got a big tour this fall, touring basically for the rest of the year, besides like 2 months in the summer and the dead of winter. So, obviously lots of content. Like there'll be like videos, and hopefully some more some more silly stuff. I think we're gonna do. Me and Jeremy are gonna do some like acoustic playthroughs of songs. So yeah, just look, and hopefully you like the new album.
Definitely. And this episode will be out before the new album gets released. So keep an eye out. Go and pre-save it on Spotify or wherever else you listen to music, Apple Music, and make sure you pre-order the vinyl as well. Where can they do that?
You can pre-order the vinyl through the Pure Noise website. We're also going to get our own merch store up and running shortly with some really cool designs on it. We have our own merch store up and running, but nothing for the new record. So we'll have that going on. But yeah, that would be awesome if you guys bought something or even looked at the website. That'd be fucking cool.
Go and buy their merch. Alan, thank you so much for coming on the show, and cannot wait for everyone to hear this record out on May 16th.
Matt, thank you so much. We haven't really done a lot of like video interviews like this, but this was the best one. You asked amazing questions. Thank you.